Podcast. This is your host, Tom Sweezy. This is episode 337 with Jason Vivang. Jason, we are officially halfway through the MLS season of 2025. How are you feeling? I think it's one match day after the halfway point here. How are you feeling?
Well, I mean, I had a good match day, but yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. MLS-wise, yeah, for sure.
So if you're saying you're a DC United fan, you're not feeling pretty good.
Probably not. No.
I mean, look, I have some DC United points that if we get to, great. If not, I'm not overly stressing about it. But there is a lot to talk about on this episode.
Yeah.
So
a lot's happened, honestly. A lot has happened. How was Vancouver or Canada? Or
I was not in Vancouver, but you were thinking of Vancouver.
Montreal? I don't know.
I was up in Ontario.
I'll
be honest, outside of knowing Toronto's on the East Coast, Vancouver's on the West Coast, and then Montreal is like still kind of East Coast, I don't know the layout well of Canada. If you told me I was in like...
Toronto's not really East Coast, isn't it? It's like right by Detroit.
Oh, Canadians, love you folks. I love you. I love your soccer teams. Ontario was beautiful. I caught a shit ton of fish up in Ontario. It was lovely. I do not know the layout of your country well. So, I'll just admit it. I did learn I was in Ontario. I flew into Winnipeg Airport, super tiny airport, and I stopped by your neck of the woods for about an hour for a layover in O'Hare, and that was pretty much it. But it was a good
O'Hare, one of the shittiest airports.
That I haven't been to Chicago's O'Hare Airport since I was like a kid, and it still looks the same. And I'm talking like over a decade.
There's no space to sit or do anything. Yeah, it's pretty chaotic.
So we got into like Terminal 2 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And our next connecting flight was in Terminal 4. We walk all the way over to like Terminal 4, and this is just off the top of my head. It might
Terminal
be like
4.
It might be like B and D. I don't know, but
dude, I should know honestly, and I don't know anything.
We get to the terminal that's 2 terminals away, pretty much.
I go there and hope for the best.
And we get the gate change that it was back to terminal like this call. Like it was so we had an hour between when we landed to when the next flight was. Then we walked like 20 minutes to one. Then we had to walk like another 20 minutes just for like boarding time. It was a mess, but
yeah,
good old Chicago.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it was so much fun, But my luck did not rub off on the Vancouver Whitecaps. I really don't want to dive straight into USMNT, so let's just dive.
I do think that makes sense because it happened further away.
Yeah, right. And people have had time to digest it, and we're not going to do a super deep dive on it. I don't even know if a deep dive is worth it, but ultimately...
Well, I mean, what deep dive can we do? It was 5...
That's what I'm saying. Is the Vancouver Whitecaps, they lost the Cruz Azul in the CONCACAF Champions Cup final 5-0. When it's that bad of a blowout, I truly don't think you can break anything down. It was just clearly a bad day in the office from Vancouver and 99% of the players that stepped onto the field for Whitecaps.
I mean, nothing went well, right, or whatever. Like, yeah, what are we supposed to say? If they did this, it might have been different. Probably not, honestly. Probably not.
If they did this, maybe they scored a goal and still lost 5. Like,
it's disappointing for me because, I wanted to be competitive. Like, losing is one thing. Losing 5-0 when this game was basically over in, the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, first half for sure.
First half, yeah, if you want to go a little bit longer. But
I want to give them a little leeway.
Yeah. I mean, another game was over in the first half, too, yesterday. But
yeah. I mean,
no, but I don't know. I think every time I feel like MLS is starting to get there, shit like this happens where it's like, okay, well, we're nowhere clear. We're nowhere close to that top end. And it's like, it's not like the fact that we're even getting to a team into this should be an achievement, I guess, which is annoying to say. And I don't know if I fully agree with it, but I think it's just like the Band-Aid of a 5-0 loss in the championship game is just brutal.
The final and the loss itself is absolutely brutal. There's no positive spin, working your way around that, right?
The tournament started off bad, though. Like, it was bad from the very beginning. The fact that we got to the point where I would say, like, we had a bad start, good middle, bad finish.
And I think that's fair. The larger point that I think I'm gonna try to like spin zone a little bit here into a positive is
Vancouver beat what two Liga MX teams to get there.
Well, I think I think the more appropriate and probably like educated conversation for this podcast is, you mentioned progression. Like every single time we see this, we have hope and we think MLS is taking the next step forward. I think we are, and I'm gonna say it in the sense of, there was a point that MLS teams, whenever they ran into a Mexican club, there was zero shot at winning, right? Whether it was home, away, whatever it may be. We've had, since 2022, we've had an MLS club in each final, and we've seen an MLS club win the competition. I think MLS is taking the progressive steps forward. I think MLS is getting better. There's the salary conversation, the salary cap conversation we can talk about every single year. I'm not doing it today. I don't have the mental capacity to do it. But ultimately, I think MLS clubs, American talents, and everything in between are getting better. And we're seeing consistency of an MLS, like we almost now feel an MLS club team is going to be in the Champions Cup final every single year, right? Barring some major catastrophes or anything like that. But an MLS team should be in a final every single year. Now, doing what Seattle did, or doing what Columbus did last year, or doing even what the Whitecaps did this year, and getting multiple results across Mexican clubs and in Mexico, that's where I feel like the next step is. And we've seen that. And I want to see that more and more before we're even talking about every single year an MLS team is expected to win this competition. Because if we can't consistently go down to Mexico and win, we can't expect that, because most of the time this final is going to be in Mexico from what history has told us. So I don't know. That's my larger try to spin it positive takeaway. I don't know.
I mean, that is like the right take, just from the fact that, like, I don't know, 5 years ago, did we ever have a win in Mexico? And now it's happened. It happened what, twice with Vancouver this year. It happened
twice with Columbus, right?
Columbus, yeah. So it's like, it definitely does feel more competitive. Like, it's not the point of oh, if we don't win by 2 at home, there's no shot or something. Like, there is teams who are going down to Mexico and winning. I personally really want this tournament to go to a neutral site. I don't think they will. I don't think they really care. Also, there's really no reason for Liga MX to agree to that, which I'm sure they would have to.
I mean, that's more of a I guess the members of CONCACAF would have to agree to that, and I don't even know if MLS clubs or if Liga MX,
Yeah, but like the commissioners would, right? Like,
it would be, it would be that. I'm sure.
I don't know. I do think there is progress being made. It's just a lot slower each year. I get reminded it's slower than I thought it was.
I'll say, I think in anything, progress is typically a lot slower than what people want. You can talk about anything from physical health to mental health to progression of a soccer league to a TV show, right? I think people want answers, and
they want it quick. They want to see results. Yeah,
progression is step by step, not skipping 20.
This was 5-0, but like it shouldn't take a whole lot away from what Vancouver did to get there. I mean, it obviously hurts, but like the fact that Vancouver has had this amazing start to the season, has beaten teams in Mexico, like we were just saying, been dominating in MLS. I mean, they literally had like nobody healthy and beat the Sounders last weekend. So I hope they don't like do what it seemed like LAFC did that one year, where they just kind of like fell off afterwards. And all signs are saying they probably won't, but
no, I mean, look, the last thing that I was going to say about the final before I'll positive spin zone the Whitecaps even more is that the Whitecaps have announced that there's a significant number of players and staff who travel to Mexico for the final that have gotten sick afterwards. I'm not sitting here saying anything. I know you hated this conversation.
It's not that like, well, I mean, I don't think it would have made a difference. It might have, maybe, but I don't think it really would have. I think the bigger issue is like something weird is happening, right? Like it's not.
Well, that's the point. Is I don't think that. To me, it doesn't make a difference about changing. I don't
Can
think.
they bring their own fucking food, please?
So apparently they did.
Okay,
apparently
the water.
They did. I don't know, but it was funny. I sent you this screenshot, and I'm sure multiple people have seen it. But on Tom Bogert's Instagram, he put out the reporting that the Whitecaps have announced this, whatever. And then the top liked comment under that post was Cucho Hernandez saying like, "If I speak" or something like that. You know, like. Yeah, I mean, this happened last year with Columbus. It's now happened this year with Vancouver. I think it should be something that CONCACAF should probably look into. But
I mean, 2 years in a row is starting to become a trend. Like, if it happens next year.
Well, yeah. So what is it? Once is coincidence, or once is
I don't know sayings.
Twice is coincidence. 3 times is a trend, or something like that. So yeah, if we see, you know, like Chicago Fire in the Champions Cup next year, I'll give you. See, I'm trying to be positive, right? And they lose 16.
This is a tough episode to be positive on.
That's why I'm trying to bring the positive. You know, then maybe 3 times is a trend. I don't know, but. The positive spin is there was a small MLS match day this past weekend. The Whitecaps did bounce back from the Champions Cup final beatdown, and then took their, you know, probably their aggression out on the Sounders. 3-0 win. Sounders did have 2 red cards in the span of 3 minutes from Nuhu and John Bell, so probably doesn't help the final scoreline being 3-0, but. Look, it's not probably this game is not a representation of what I think the Sounders are. 2 red cards in a game, you're never gonna handle that well. But ultimately, the Whitecaps, they're still in the lead for the Supporter Shield on 35 points through 16 games, which they have a game in hand on a lot of teams in the league. So Whitecaps are still looking good for 2025.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said earlier, the Whitecaps season so far, incredible. Like, regardless of that result.
One-off game? Yeah, you know.
One-off game? What happened? What went on? But, yeah, that was a tough one. Right. Season-wise, great.
Let's go to LAFC, because
I was hoping you were going to say that.
Yeah. LAFC, they won their FIFA Club World Cup qualifying game versus Club America 2-1.
Team winning versus a Mexican team.
Yeah, I mean, was it in the U.S.? Yes, but still. Former LAFC winger Brian Rodriguez scored a PK in the 64th minute to put America up 1-0. In the 89th minute, Igor Jesus scored a late goal to tie things up, and you know, fans were going nuts there. That was a pretty cool moment. Game went to extra time, and then who else but Denny Bouanga scoring the game winner in the 115th minute. That was a $9 million goal from Denny Bouanga, so you know, it's incredible. So yeah, LAFC, they won their game, qualified for the Club World Cup. You know, roughly winning that rough $9 million number, and they are joining Inter Miami and the Seattle Sounders as MLS clubs competing in the competition in the upcoming days now. So I guess first and foremost, before we dive into anything else with the Club World Cup that we have to talk about, Jason, LAFC winning their game is huge, good for the club, league, players, and everything in between.
Yeah, I mean, this is massive. I think like. This is the LAFC that they want to be, right? Like they want to be in this tournament. This is huge that they got this opportunity. The money alone is huge. Like everything about them winning this game, we talked about it beforehand, how important it would be. And I still think it's important. Like the fact that they're going to be on the stage, we're going to see them versus
I'm pulling up the groups now. So
Chelsea and Flamengo.
Chelsea, Flamengo, and Esperance.
Okay, well, I mean, like those are big games, and I think they could get a win. Maybe.
Esperance they're actually a very good team from Africa. I'm pretty sure. I should probably.
I mean, everyone in this is going to be good. I think.
Fair.
Well, for the most part. Well, maybe not everyone. Okay, whatever. My we're just like on it. We're on it today. I don't know.
Well, look, I'm trying to just be positive. Okay, we're gonna talk the USMNT in like 5 minutes, so I'm trying to not to be miserable. That's where I'm at.
I mean, regardless, this is a huge win. Like, there is no chance not to be positive. I personally think they can get at least a draw in this. At any point is better than nothing, right? Like anything is money, right? I don't know.
No, for sure. And just to confirm, Esperance, they are probably the largest club in Tunisia. They are 4-time African Champions League winners, and they are 34-time Tunisian First Division winners. So
they're good.
So LAFC about to get smacked. I'm reading right now, but
the only thing I don't want is like a blowouts.
Yeah, it would be really. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I think on the one hand, like, who are the Sounders playing? They have.
So I'll read off the groups right now. So LAFC slot into Group D. They're facing Chelsea, Flamengo, and Esperance. Seattle Sounders are in Group B. They are playing PSG, Atletico Madrid, and Botafogo. And then Inter Miami are in Group A, where they're playing Palmeiras, Porto, and Al Ahly. I mean, you don't want blowouts, bro. I mean, I read like 4 blowouts, and
yeah, you think, PSG isn't gonna.
I mean, look, I'm expecting the global.
Some of them are expected. Like, PSG should be a blowout. If it isn't, it's more of a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reigning Champions League winners should be pretty.
They blew out Inter in the Champions League.
Oh, God. You know what? And Inter had a pretty good defense this year across all competitions. Yeah, you know what?
Sounders defense. They just came out with 3-0.
You know what it is they may have run into Inter. They might have just won Champions League, but PSG have never played Stefan Frei before. Okay, Stefan Frei is.
It's actually insane. Like, Champions League winners are up against Stefan Frei. Like, what world do we live in?
I'd love to see like a new hoop banger versus Atletico Madrid. Like, just have him like step up. It's his like 3rd goal ever.
I mean, if the Sounders get blown out in all 3, it's not gonna make me feel any worse about them.
No, what I would like to see is the Sounders be somewhat competitive with Botafogo, and then just do their absolute.
This is where we're getting our hopes up, and then it's like, oh, we're nowhere near.
Okay, can I ask you a legitimate Club World Cup question?
Yeah.
Between those 3 groups, and I can reread the clubs if you need. Who do you think has the most percentage? You don't have to give me a percentage, but who has the highest chance of actually advancing from the group? You know what? Who has the
MLS team or just in general?
MLS team. I'm going with who has the highest chance to finish 2nd in a group. So
who do I think out of the 3 MLS teams has the best chance of moving on?
Yeah.
LAFC.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you.
I think pretty easily I would say LAFC. I don't think like Chelsea is the most terrifying team. They might get their ass kicked.
I was going to say, look,
I'm not saying it in like compared. If you took like Chelsea's probably the best team in that group.
Yes.
The best team in the Sounders group is PSG. The best team in Miami's group is
Porto, Palmeiras.
Probably Porto.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe Porto's the best team in each group. Maybe Inter Miami is actually the choice. I'm more confident in LAFC.
I feel the most confident in LAFC, which last podcast I wasn't saying that, but fuck you are. Group A.
Say the opposite, please.
The Miami group seems the most balanced group. Porto, Palmeiras, Al Ahly, and Inter Miami.
But Miami hasn't. If this was like last year or 2 years ago, Miami, I would say, yeah, great chance. Probably pick Miami. The only thing
that I'm going to say is Lionel Messi. It's the only thing that I'm going to say that kind of is like for a balanced group.
How serious do they take this? I feel like pretty seriously.
I feel like they have to. Yeah. So that's our Club World Cup preview, folks. There you go. We just gave you everything we think about the Club World Cup in terms of MLS clubs' involvement in it.
Anyway, LAFC still rolling. They're good. Yeah.
And look,
good for them for winning that game.
And look, I say Lionel Messi for Group A, right? For LAFC's group, it is still Hugo Lloris, it is still Olivier Giroud, it is still Denis Bouanga.
Denis
Right?
Bouanga should have been the first name you said. But
Well, I'm going more from a global presence. I guess that's where
fair, but
but
impact on the team.
So I've tried to be positive, Jason. Now we have to dip our toe into the negatives here. So 2 match days ago last week, when we did not have an episode, the Seattle Sounders players were wearing pre-game warm-up T-shirts that were protesting the player payout for participating in the Club World Cup. So this is going to be obviously involving the players of Seattle, Miami, and LAFC. The initial CBA between MLS and the MLS Players Association I think had the agreement deal that there would be $1 million payout, and I think it's $1 million total for all the players on Seattle, LAFC, and Miami to split the earnings for playing in the Club World Cup. The initial CBA was also created when this expanded Club World Cup didn't exist, or
in the pay was probably way less.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or I think it was right. Like, so if you had to win Champions Cup to be one of the 5 clubs to make the Club World Cup, play 2 games, and you got $1 million. Like, that makes a little bit more sense than here's a full-on fucking World Cup style tournament, and now you're only going to get $1 million and you're playing a little bit more. So the CBA deal, like I said, was created before this larger and more expensive tournament with a larger payout, right? MLS is roughly seeing $29 million in total from this competition. And then again, the players are only really going to see $1 million of that. MLS and MLSPA have been working on a deal. The PA has not been happy or accepted any of the deals that MLS have thrown their way. And the tournament starts in a handful of days now, less than 5 days. And then during that specific Sounders game, Sounders ownership angrily confronted players in the locker room about this T-shirt, about the T-shirts, and about the protest. And you've seen plenty of players now online, on social media, putting their support out for the protest and for more equal payments and everything like that. From my understanding, globally, how it works is it is a 50-50 split between the leagues and the players for most other leagues in the world. And I think that's what the MLSPA, from my assumption, would be what they're after. It's not going to happen, in my opinion, but I think this is just where greedy ownership and greedy leagues and greedy people from CONCACAF and FIFA and everyone in between, that's just what happens. And it's not something I agree with or accept, but I hope the MLS players and the MLSPA can work out a deal where the players are more evenly compensated for their efforts and extra games and global presence and everything that goes into playing in the Club World Cup.
I have a few points or questions because, part of this, obviously, I'm on the players should get paid more side. Yes. Okay, to make it clear, because some of my questions might make it seem like I'm not, but I'm totally on the side of the players getting paid more for the stuff they're doing. Right, I think owners angrily confronting players in locker rooms is unacceptable. That's insane. The real question I have is the original CBA that this was part of. I looked up the old payout in 2023. The payout for winning this thing. So the prize pool was $16 million instead of the $100 billion or whatever it is now.
I think it's a billion. Yeah.
So the winner earned $5 million, runner-up received $4 million, then it was $2.5 million. It kind of went down. So them, in the old CBA with the old format, actually we're getting paid a pretty good amount. I'm assuming that's why they agreed upon that.
Yeah, that makes sense, right?
I almost feel like in hindsight it should be a percent. They should have agreed on a percentage but how could they have foreseen this expansion? Where now it's 10 million just to even exist.
The recent negotiations, and shout out as always Tom Bogert for being on top of this and putting it out there for us to understand, is I'm pretty sure the latest piece that MLS put in front of the MLSPA was more of a percentage deal. I'll try to pull it up, but continue on with your point.
I think my point is I don't see why they can't make a new agreement. Like, oh, sure, now that they have, it's kind of just selfish, I think, from the MLS sides because you're they locked into this deal, but then the thing expanded by I don't know, 16 million to a billion is an insane percentage.
Just a little bit.
I can't even begin to understand like a 10,000% increase or something. I don't know.
Yes.
But I just like personally think it's crazy that this is even a thing. Like, why are they not getting compensated more? $1 million for even if it was a million per team, that would make me feel a little better, but that's still insanely low. But like when it's listed as 29 million for the tournament goes to the MLS and a million goes to the players total, that's I mean they're getting like what, $25,000? No. Am I stupid? Yeah, no, like $25,000.
Yeah, 250. 250. A million divided by 3.
That would
right?
be 333,000. But then you have to divide that by like 18
by
to
however many players.
22.
Yeah, so you're.
So I'm saying like $25,000 roughly, maybe less, is going to each player.
Yeah, I was 2 steps behind you on that. That's on me. That's on
well,
me.
I'm glad you clarified it.
You.
Honestly,
I agree with you, but I was
like that's unacceptable though. That's clearly unacceptable. I don't understand why they can expect their players to play basically each game for that money.
3 games for call it 30 grand just to make it even numbers. You 10 grand a game.
I mean, to me, it sounds amazing, but
no, 10 grand. Yeah, if you want me to step out there for 10 grand, I got you. Don't you? I'll play 180 minutes.
Yeah, I'll go out there I will not sit.
But in terms of these guys who it's their careers, their livelihood,
if they get hurt, if they that derails potential millions down the road.
And it's also in comparison again to how much money the league is and the owners are getting from this. Is that million is such a small drop in the bucket of.
I guess I don't have like a strong point on this besides like I personally think they should just. I don't know. Like, what can I say? They should figure it out. Yeah, of course they should. But I don't know if they will. I think it's kind of insane that it's even. It's just a bummer because, like, the old CBA, $1 million actually sounds like it would have been a pretty good amount.
Which, again, is the reason why the old CBA was signed and accepted. But things change as every competition is expanding to 1 million teams playing in it and blah, blah,
I mean,
blah.
Again, 16 million to $1 billion in prize money is it's not even in the same zip code. Like
the MLSPA could not have made the assumption that the
that FIFA would just be like, oh, let's just make this tournament the biggest tournament ever.
Yeah, exactly. The latest that I saw from Tom Bogert on social media was that MLS offered the MLSPA a 20% of performance-based prizes. So I'm assuming that would be.
So then they would get $0 if they didn't win a game.
Well, no, you get the $9 million for just being in it, right?
Yeah, but that isn't performance-based, is it? That's just.
I think that's just me. I think
no, because I googled it and it says like performance, like in. Let me look it back up.
So is it $1 million, and then if you guys do better, you get more money? I mean,
based on this on Google, just the quickest thing I could think, performance-based bonuses are listed. Winner 40 million, runner-up 30. Basically, we're not going to do that. Round of 16, 7.5 million. Group stage 2 million for a win and 1 million for a draw. So if they didn't win, then they're getting nothing if they take that deal.
Yeah, but
unless it's including the original million.
That's what I'm saying
but that's still horrible.
And that's still an awful deal. MLSPA came back and said that was below international standard, which from what I've been reading, that is.
It really shouldn't be hard to just look at like the Premier League and see what they're doing. Like I'm sure the owners are still getting paid pretty well.
And I'm sure the Premier League they're getting their cut and all of it. The last thing here is that the MLSPA countered with a 40% deal compared to the 20% deal. So I don't know. I don't know if that means 40% of the 9 million. I don't know if that means 40%, $1 million plus 40% of whatever the performance draw.
So if you won a game, it'd be like an additional 900,000.
Yeah, which is, that adds more, 100%. So I don't know.
But I also think it shouldn't be like all lumped in MLS. It should be each team separately.
Well, no, it's
weird to me that all the players were lumped into that million. Like the way I would have read that would be like $1 million per team.
Even if it is $1 million per team,
it's still bad. No, I'm not making
the number is still not great.
It's just it almost makes it seem. It's almost like no, it's way worse because it's $1 million total. So you just tripled the amount of players to the same amount of money.
I would also assume that coaching staff would get their cut, athletic training staff.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're at like what, $5,000?
Yeah, like I'm that's my assumption, right? I don't know. I'm not an expert in this, and information out about this is not a ton. So, doing my best to read and just put an opinion out there.
Yeah, I'm doing quick Google searches on the side.
So that's pretty much it. I think we can just come to the larger standpoint, right? Though that players deserve to be compensated as equal as it should be, right? Things that should happen don't always happen. So I just hope the players get the most money possible that they can, because they are elevating the game.
They don't have this without the players.
Exactly, 100%. So that's it. Let's just go down even more the shithole that we're gonna have to talk about on this episode here, if you're ready for it. So the USMNT.
Man, I thought we were gonna get to talk about the fire.
You want? No, you know what? Fuck it. Let's keep going positive. Jason, Chicago Fire. Are you excited for the new?
I'm pumped, man. A new stadium. It's. I already took the survey in my email. That was like, they put out a whole survey saying what. I don't know. Like I could summarize some of the questions. Were like, what kind of seating would you like? Are you cool with like a standing section? Do you want like a plaza and stuff in front of the stadium? Would you want to use it for watching games or other events, concerts, blah, blah, blah? Like the stadium,
Go Chicago.
It's great, man. Joe Mansueto, he's coming in with dropping bombs, man. I love it. I think the fact that this is privately funded makes me so much more happy. Like he's basically paying for this thing by himself, which is insane.
Jason's like, I don't have to pay for it. This is lovely.
I mean, I don't, man. This is amazing. I will be going. I'm super excited. I think their timeline is insane. Like 2028, I think they said they want to be ready for.
The initial announcement was it would be open. It didn't say for the 2028 season. It just said in 2028. So that could possibly also for the 2028
end of the season.
Just saying. But
I will say, like, if it's privately funded, there is a chance that they've gone through some of like the back end city process stuff with it already. You don't have to have all that public stuff. Which could help. I think it probably will help. But
I would assume so.
I'm excited. I think it's going to look good. It's right along the river. I don't really have a ton to add. I'm just super happy. That's so cool. Like the access to it should be better because Soldier Field access is horrible.
As someone who is getting a private, or not, it's not privately funded. For someone who is getting a stadium,
for someone who's paying out of pocket for my own
someone who's building a stadium right now, please, no. For someone in a New York City fan who is getting a stadium, hopefully for 2027. There's a lot more coming out, obviously, every single year. I'm getting excited for my own experience. It's going to be cool. It's right next to Citi Field where the Mets play. Like
they've broken ground on that. I've seen it.
It's being built, and I think there's Steve Cohen, who's the owner of the Mets. I think he wants to build. You know, kind of how like up with the Patriots and the Revolution, they have like the whole like. You can stay in a hotel, like you can sports book, and like there's a sports book, like all this stuff. I think they're trying to build that too over there. So Queens might just explode with just everything, which is going to be cool. I'm sure not chaotic and hectic in a borough of New York City.
New York, it's probably going to be insane. Yeah,
it'll be cool. But for the Fire, it's nice to see another soccer-specific stadium coming.
In the city too, like finally, this is what they needed. I think this is actually massive for them. I think this is what they need to really be good and have an accessible stadium. Like
You mean Clearview wasn't the answer, right?
Bridgeview. But yeah, no, you mean the stadium that you had to go like an hour and a half to get to? No, not ideal.
New England, you're up next, folks. Get out of Foxborough. Let's get into the Boston area possibly, and let's work on it. The reports that I was seeing, Jason, and correct me if I was wrong, I just kind of quickly added this here, that it's going to be like a 22,000 seater with natural grass field. I don't know if you...
I think that's roughly around.
Got it. Cool.
Which I think some people were like, they should do bigger. But honestly, I'm kind of fine with it. I want it packed, man. Like I think this season averaging a little under 22,000.
Well, I think also when you look at, MLS club averages, when you look at the average of your own team in your own market, it's like you don't want to build a fucking 50,000 seater, and then
there's just a million seats empty. It's not worth it. I mean, maybe they could have gone to like a 30,000, but then I don't know. I don't think they need to.
I think, from my understanding, whatever New York City's going to call their stadium, I want to say it's like 2021. So, and I think New York City, when it's at Yankee Stadium, they pull roughly close to that number. When it's anywhere else, they don't. I don't fucking know. But it's ours is a whole different case. But I do agree. I think a 20 to 25,000 seater to me is just like a sweet spot. Perfect. Yeah. For like an MLS club,
25, right? I think if you're gonna go like big, 25, I think is as big as you probably, unless you're Atlanta and you can pull 70K.
Well, that's also an NFL stadium, but that's
they also don't do it every game. Like most of the time, the capacity is like 25 or 30.
Yeah, yes, the games that aren't these big market games or whatever, them in Charlotte, right? Like they do it big, and the fan turnouts on.
I mean, the Fire had 67,000 or something for Messi game. Like it. Sure, you can get that, but for one game, it's not worth having 38 games or 36 games of empty seats.
Yeah, I mean, Columbus had to go to the Ohio State football stadium to play the game against Miami because they were trying to just make.
They didn't have to. No, they didn't have to. That was
sorry.
I think we established that was stupid.
Poor choice of words there.
They weren't even in the same city.
All right. Are you finally ready for the USMNT talk?
Let's see. What can we put it on?
what can I delay even more? You know what? I will delay it. U.S. Women's National Team.
I mean, but we're gonna probably spend 15 minutes talking about them.
They won 2 friendlies. They're the good national team. They're the fun national team. They're the national team that makes me proud to watch a U.S. national soccer team.
And they do the era changes pretty well. Like of players, the ins and outs is a little cleaner. Not just Tim Ream and a bunch of new guys.
I will say, I think the U.S. women's soccer pipeline develops talent at a crazy rate, and I think the U.S. men's pipeline should probably, you know what, that's unfair. There's a lot of super young talented MLS players and USL players who are very good and they will have good careers, but U.S. women's national team and that section of our federation does it different and does it well, so completely fair. But ultimately it was a 3-0 win over China last week. Caitlin Macario, she had a goal and an assist. Sorry, Katarina Macario.
I was going to say something. I was like, no one probably heard that.
No, brains everywhere. Katarina Macario, the goal and an assist in that game. And then the U.S. women's national team went on to beat Jamaica 4-0. Ali Sentner and Lynn Williams both had braces in that game. It was funny. It was very much like Ali Sentner had hers, and then Lynn Williams was like, okay, I'm going to go take
my turn.
I'm going to go take my 2 now.
Yeah.
It's friendlies. It doesn't mean much in terms of winning a trophy or whatnot, but it means much in terms of, I think, to the point we just said, transitioning into new eras and getting new players involved.
Giving new players some time this far before their World Cup, because they'll be 2027, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's important getting to see, all of that. Emma Hayes can kind of view what she has, whether that's players who we've seen before, players who we haven't, younger players
to the fold if for whatever reason.
Yeah, like Macario was pretty badly hurt for the Olympics.
Yeah.
and wasn't there. So I think a lot of it's super important to just get these games in. Also, like the women's team just never stops. Like they just, like you said, they're just producing more and more talent. So like half the time you're like, there's new people. Like what?
How many times like and look, the women's game is at a different point right now from where the men's game is, and that's
It's kind of, we can't compare them. It's not.
It's unfair to compare, but it is very nice, and it is like not mind blowing when all of a sudden I think like the NWSL has some like 17, 18-year-old like kid who's just unbelievable coming through the ranks, and you know like and then in what, a year, 2 years, they're getting kind of acclimated to the national team at some level, or the U23s at some level, and then like they just always blow up to be a star, right? Like I just feel like that happens a lot more frequent than
Yeah, I mean, Olivia Moultrie, who was in this camp on this team, is I think 19 now, and I'm pretty sure she signed with Portland at 13 or 14.
That's insane. And I understand now.
There are people who probably are like, that's unacceptable. That should not be a thing. But I mean, also, that's crazy.
13 is a little young for a professional contract, but not that she shouldn't get paid if she's talented, but
she was playing a little bit.
Yeah,
I think she actually didn't play, like she just practiced with them for like.
That's fine. You know, I don't think at 13 you should
played at 15 maybe.
Like a 34-year-old.
There's been a couple of like 15-year-olds, I think.
Yeah,
actually have received minutes.
Yeah, well, because then you have to also go by state like working laws too.
Right. Yeah.
I know like New York is like 15. You're allowed, but before a certain time, and you can't. like it's a whole.
Anyway, they're still crushing it.
Yes, 100%. And someone or a team that isn't crushing it is the U.S. men's national team.
Oh, here we go.
They have now officially lost 4 straight games in a row, which is something that hasn't been done since the Klinsmann era, in the year that Klinsmann was fired from being manager of the U.S. men's national team. It was a 2-0 loss to Turkey, and then a few days later, and last night for those who, or 2 nights ago for those who are listening on the day of the episode dropping, it was a 4-0 loss to Switzerland. Both, you know, this shows you how much FIFA rankings mean. Both teams that are lower than us on the FIFA rankings list.
I don't care about the FIFA rankings.
I don't care either, but it's just I think what I was hate watching the game last night, and I think I just wanted to look it up to really just piss myself off of like
we're worse. We are worse than Switzerland.
we 100% are worse than both of these teams. To me, I'm not going down game by game. It was the only player I think from both of these games that I can sit here and be like, I don't think had poor moments was Diego Luna, to be perfectly honest. Diego Luna looked like the only one that kind of gave a shit, was running, putting in effort, and cared.
I would maybe argue Jack McGlynn.
That's fine.
To an extent.
That's fine. I think
Diego Luna, what I was going to say is Luna, McGlynn, maybe Malik Tillman are the only ones who are like, I actually came out like they aren't the worst.
I'd give a sprinkle for Ajiman too, but he's an interesting case.
I mean, he didn't get a whole lot of time.
No, and I think he puts in effort, and I think he's just been missing the mark finishing wise.
Would have liked to see Damian Downs a little bit more.
Yeah, he got his debut. Shout out Damian Downs, but
shout out Damian Downs, debut in one of the worst runs we've had ever
in a 4-0 loss to Switzerland. Look, I'm not going player by player any more than we just did for the last minute, but to me, it doesn't feel like a talent issue.
I'll go player by player.
Johnny Cardoso, what the fuck?
You wait for Europa League to this.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a talent issue. Like, I think that's the large conversation that we're seeing on social media, right? And all the Landon Donovan comments that have been coming out, and players and former teammates of Landon Donovan responding, being like, you know, like, what are you talking about? Like, stuff like that, right? Like, the talent piece doesn't equate to me, because I think there's enough talent on this roster and on these rosters to compete and do well and put in better performances than what we just saw the last week or so. To me, it feels like there's a lack of energy, a lack of caring. to me, I would then kind of lump that all into like it's a cultural issue. It's a cultural thing going on with this group and with the men's section of the federation right now. Maybe that's too generalizing it, but that's just kind of how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I do think, well, from a talent standpoint, there is obviously talent. Like, I feel like there's definitely the talent to compete, let alone, not even win, but compete against Switzerland. No offense.
No, yeah,
I don't like. I get what you're saying, and I kind of agree, but it's not like half of these guys even like. Why do they feel like they can not care? Like Max Arfiston, I don't know. I don't want to call people out. I really don't. But like half the names on this roster aren't regulars. It's not Christian Pulisic. And first of all, I don't think Landon Donovan's comments were appropriate personally. Like I think that was kind of shitty of him to do, especially to call out Christian Pulisic, who again has a hip injury. Yeah. I don't know why people keep forgetting that he's like literally taking injections, and this keeps going around. I don't understand it, but
right, I'm not going down that road. Yes, I agree.
I think it's ridiculous, but at the same time, like most of the people or players on this team don't have the right. I don't even know. Like no one has the right to like not care, right? And personally, in my opinion, but it's not like it's the starters, the stars who have been in World Cup, in major games. It's not like I don't know. There's the whole other conversation about stars and playing and not playing. So much to get into with this. It's
that stars conversation, and that directly ties to the Landon Donovan comments, right? Like, I agree. The Landon Donovan comments, I don't agree with the comments.
As someone who was a U.S. soccer star, he should be building them up, not doing the opposite, in my opinion.
And this is not a point that I am new to making, especially coming from someone who took a sabbatical from the USMNT and from the Galaxy for his mental health. Like, Landon Donovan did that. He took a decent amount of time off. Maybe if Christian Pulisic could play through this and continue to get injections, or whoever else you want to name, but isn't some time off okay, right? Like that's where the hypocrisy comes in a little bit. And look, my personal belief is I think everyone's a hypocrite at some level. We all say stuff and then do the opposite. Like it's just human nature. But maybe hypocrite's an aggressive word, but the Landon Donovan comments to me, it's nice to see that he cares and he still cares. Like he clearly loves the USMNT and the US Federation and US Soccer. So it's nice to see that. But ultimately, I think the comments were incorrect, in my opinion. To me, right, like I agree with you. I think whether you're Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams, down to Chris Brady or Sebastian Berhalter or Paxton Aronson, like guys who have barely sniffed a cap or two for the U.S. No one earns or has a right to not care, put in effort, not put in that extra amount when you're representing the U.S. on a soccer field, right? I don't care who you are, what your name is, what you've done, how many caps you have. That's just the thing to me that feels like is missing. So that's why I say it's a lack of energy, a lack of caring. It is a culture issue because we have not been good enough as a soccer nation. It's not like we're the women who've won World Cups and dominated, where we can maybe get a little complacent. We have no right to be complacent. And that's the part that pisses me off. I don't know. I put out a tweet, and I don't know what we're calling it on Blue Sky, a blue skeet. I don't know. I don't know, but
a wheat.
I put something out on both those platforms yesterday, and I pretty much just said, like, every few months we have this conversation on the podcast, Jason. It feels like you and I have talked about this ad nauseum to a point, from missing the World Cup in 2018 to losing to Panama in the 2023 Gold Cup, to not advancing out of the group stage in Copa America last year, to finishing fourth in this last Nations League where we lost to Panama and Canada. It just feels like there's consistently there's no stability. There's every few months to every few years there's just something that completely needs a revamp of the USMNT. And just like we talk about with MLS on a weekly basis, if you're constantly switching sporting directors, managers, you're constantly going through rotations, where are you ever going to find stability and success? It's just not going to come. And that's what this USMNT team feels like.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bummer. Like, I don't know what to say. The culture is definitely like we had the Greg culture era almost, where the team seemed really happy, but the results didn't really match up. And I'm not like gonna sit here and say that he didn't deserve like that Nations League or whatever.
Yeah,
like that.
I agree.
So I get it, or it was whatever it was. I don't remember. I can't think of anything right now. But my point is, like, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Like, they should be honored to put the shirt on. And they honestly, the players probably are. I don't feel like these are players that are just like, whatever. Like, I don't care. Like, they compete. They go out there to win every game. I personally think that's true, but I think you're right. Like, there's like a laziness, it feels like, or there's like a fog over the whole organization. And I don't think it's solely on the players, even though I do think they deserve a lot of the blame. But I think it's like the whole thing, the top down, from the president to the everything. Every part of it needs to get revamped or looked at. Like
Crocker all the way down. I agree with that piece.
I think the Pochettino hire, it was a good hire. Like, I would still sit here and say I think he's probably a good coach to develop our team. Has it been working? No. I don't. I think maybe there's other reasons for that. I really don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I wish I had the answers, but there are no answers.
I only have two more pieces that I quickly want to say. Is I bet you Sebastian Berhalter was in the locker room last night at halftime being like, my dad would never fucking do this shit. I bet you that one. That was the joke I wanted to throw in. But
that's going to rile some people up.
But two, the Gold Cup starts in 3 days. The U.S. kick off for their first Gold Cup match in 4 days.
I'm not ready.
we're on a 4-game losing streak. Just for folks who have forgotten, our group is Haiti, Trinidad and Tobago, and Saudi Arabia. So we play Trinidad in 4 days. I'm going into that Trinidad game, Jason.
Why is it Trinidad, man? It could have been anyone else.
Right? I'm going into the Trinidad game with full expectation that we're going to lose like 2-0, like 1-0. Like the same way we lost against Panama in the Nations League semifinal, and like at stoppage time, like Pochettino was saving his talent for.
I need Tyler Adams to start. He's the only one who I know, no matter what, is carrying.
And he picked up a slight knock against Turkey. That's why I didn't play against Switzerland. So, it's great. We're all doing great right now.
What do we even want? What do we want to see? Like, what would be your ideal starting 11 for
Ideal
Trinidad?
Starting 11 is Matt Freese in net over Matt Turner.
I'm not going to have my Turner conversation. Everyone knows where I stand there. And yesterday made my feelings very, very clear.
I think, I'm going to speak for you here and say the Matt Turner conversation is hopefully the move to Lyon is official. He gets the starting job and he plays consistent minutes, because when he has done that in his career, he has been an elite national team talent. Yeah. But when he's been a backup, he has not been.
When he has played maybe twice in the last 6 months.
FA Cup champion, though. FA Cup champion. Matt Freese would be my ideal goalkeeper. I don't know if you have if we can go piece for piece.
I mean, personally, I would probably I don't know if you could go wrong with Brady or Freese. I think it's funny because they're both our guys, but yeah. I am just happy Brady's there. Brady's obviously still 19 or 20 or whatever. Yeah. It's crazy. Actually, he's probably 21 now. I don't know. Matt Freese, I'm fine with though. I don't think he did anything to lose his chance.
I mean, one of the goals was just Johnny fucking putting it in the back of his own.
Well, someone we don't want starting.
At fullback, I would go John Tolkien over Max Arfston. I think Max Arfston he gets forward very well, and he's a great attacking piece. But when you ask him to be a fullback in a back four, where he has to defend way more than what he does with Columbus, he is not national team level at that. So I'd go John Tolkien at left back. And I mean, fucking Nathan Harriel just got burned by Switzerland 100 times. So fuck it, Alex Freeman.
I want to see Freeman anyways.
Yeah, no,
more
I
than
agree.
that.
I think Alex Freeman is the more fun talent right now, but Nathan Harriel doesn't help himself after the Switzerland game. Center backs, Chris Richards.
I agree.
And can I somehow clone Chris Richards?
I think I would probably go
Richards and Ream.
I was gonna say Robinson.
I mean, Miles Robinson didn't have a great night last night.
Did anyone? I mean, Chris Richards didn't have a good 2 games either, really.
You know what? Richards and Robinson. I'm fine with that.
I personally think Robinson has a lot of upside, and I don't need to see Ream anymore.
I know, but McKenzie and Zimmerman were god awful last night, so I don't know if I want to see them again.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, I think definitely not Zimmerman. McKenzie, I think there's something there, but yeah. It's hard to rate it after what happened, but
100%.
I think you can. Richards is the number one in this group, and then I think Robinson.
Probably it's probably that.
We should have been writing this down, and then we could compare it when it actually.
I'll listen back. It's okay. I'm assuming it's going to be a double pivot in the midfield because I feel like that's what we've seen Pochettino do a little bit more lately, even though he's been switching around the lineup. So I would say Tyler Adams and Jack McGlynn. I know McGlynn's been out on the wing, and it's actually worked very well, but I kind of like what Jack McGlynn does defensively a little bit more. So Tyler Adams and Jack McGlynn in a double pivot with like Paxton Aronson with Malik Tillman sitting in front of them. That's
okay, I was gonna say I think I would prefer Malik Tillman. Like if anyone, I actually think Malik Tillman didn't look that bad.
He's a different player from PSV to the US to me, and guys like that kill me because it just hurts. But
meanwhile, Johnny's over here like. Who are you?
He's going athletic, baby.
What happened with the I don't know, the Space Jam sauce?
I don't know if you have a preference on a midfield 3, but that would probably.
I mean, Tyler Adams first. I mean, yeah, Tyler Adams, McGlynn, and Tillman. Like 2 of those are the guys that I said I think actually are not that bad.
Yeah, and I would give Sebastian Berhalter a little love. I don't think he looked awful against Switzerland, but could have been better. On the wings, I'm going Diego Luna and probably Brendan Aronson at this point. You know, he had a good year for Leeds, and you know, I like him wider than I do like him wider than I get him and Paxton mixed up in my head sometimes. I like Brendan wider than I do like him more centrally. But if you told me Brendan was central and Malik Tillman was out wide, I'd also be okay with that. So give me.
I think it's Diego Luna, 100%.
Yeah.
You can kind of mix and match based on what they do in the midfield. But yeah, I'm good with what you said.
And up top, I'm still going Patrick Agyemang. I mean, he's the only one that he consistently gets into dangerous spaces, and I feel like ultimately he's gonna start putting them away a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled with this group of attackers.
Well, it also sucks.
I love Brian White, but again, another player that seems to be it's so early. Like I feel like Brian White could have a decent Gold Cup. But
look, Brian White should be playing. Should play at some point. Should start at some point. You're not going to have.
Well, we're going to see. Yeah, I mean, this is a position where we'll probably see multiple.
Yeah, Tyler Adams is not playing every group stage game just with his injury history and how the federation likes to manage him. He's not going to. So we're going to have to see Johnny at some point. We're going to have to see guys like that. So
maybe it'll be like, hey, wow, he looks amazing against this Trinidad team.
Yeah, if Johnny can run Trinidad and Tobago, I think you should get the Atletico Madrid move. That's my opinion. So that's the U.S. talk. I'm not excited about this Gold Cup. I'll be perfectly honest, but
I was until the last week happened.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't. Yeah, I guess I don't know. Like, it doesn't help that Serginho Dest backed out of the camp. I think he dealing with the knock, and Florian Balogun, and even guys who are like, I mean, look, at this point,
I do think there's an argument though. Like, I do think there's some of that's correct. Like the fact that we don't see our like A team half of the time. It's a B team. More than half. It's like 90% of the time.
That's okay. So that's what I was gonna say to you. Thank you for bringing that up. The only piece to what Landon Donovan said that I really do agree with, and he said it. I didn't hear it. I saw it on videos afterwards. He said it on the Portugal winning the UEFA Nations League final, and the crying and the celebration that happened with all the Portuguese players. When he said, like, look at that passion, look at that pride. I wish the US, like, to some extent, it wasn't an exact quote like that. Like, I wish the US players in the US had this. I fully agree with that sentiment.
There's no like Dempsey who's willing to run through a brick wall.
Yeah, I mean, like, and how many times have we said it on the podcast? And we've said it for how long now? And it's kind of sad that it hasn't changed for how long we've been saying this. Outside of what, 3 guys? Everyone else is like a borderline player. Everyone else is like, do they want it enough? Are they performing enough? Are they caring enough? Like, outside of Pulisic, Robinson, and what, Weston McKennie? Like, everyone else is kind of
healthy Tyler Adams, maybe, but
sorry. Okay,
that's
yeah,
pretty rare these days.
Sorry, Tyler. That's on me. I agree with that. So outside,
I almost think healthy Tyler Adams, I would put more lock than McKennie, but McKennie's coming off a good season.
I agree. So I'm saying outside
like semantics or whatever.
Outside of less than a handful of players, we can't tell you what 15 players, what a 15-player roster would have to look like, or an 18, right?
And I think a lot of the times we're like, oh, these 11s that are, let's like see new faces, like the U.S. women's team, all these new faces. This is great, lots of new talent. Faces. But we also know with the women's, like the 11, basically.
Yeah.
Give or take some in the 18, 20, whatever. For tournaments, pretty much who's gonna be there if healthy. The men's, like you're saying, it's like 4 guys. Everyone else is like, you might be there, you're good enough at times, but you also maybe don't play. Matt Turner, we know you're good enough. Like, the reason I get upset with Matt Turner is because I know he's good enough.
Yeah.
And then, like, he doesn't play, and then shit like yesterday happens, where he coughs up a rebound straight into the attacker.
And not to sound too much maybe like Landon, maybe I agree with Landon a little bit more than I think, but certain pieces I definitely disagree with. But it would also be nice of those 4 guys that that 4 or 5 guys we're talking about, whatever it may be. It would be nice if we actually saw them with the rest of the group, because we don't, like, to your point, the amount of times that we've had to call camps or competitions like our B roster.
Yeah.
Like,
at this point, I don't like, outside of the World Cup. Have we had an A roster since, like,
Copa America? And I mean, that team fucking
was that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that was kind of an A roster, and it went poorly. So maybe we should. I guess that's another thing. Like, I don't want to just keep rambling, but like what you're saying with the Donovan stuff is like, we saw Donovan, Dempsey, Mike Bradley, Altidore, every single game. Every game. You could keep naming off more.
Yeah.
But literally, like, every game, they knew each other. Yeah. I can't really say, does Christian Pulisic and Johnny Cardoso play a bunch of games together? Not really.
100, I don't
know.
Like, look, could you lump in McKennie, Adams, Pulisic? 100%. But does Pulisic, how well is he functioning now with Florian Balogun up top? I don't fucking know. I haven't seen it in a year.
What, they've played 3 games in their lives together?
That's the piece that I do get annoyed with, right? It's like, if you have an injury, I'm not going to knock you. If you have something going on, I'm not going to knock you. But, like, the amount of times that we have had our A-team roster together, I did quotes down here, our A-team roster together,
quotes.
is I don't even know what an A-team. Maybe this is our A-team roster.
This is not. No.
It's not. But you get my point.
Oh, I do.
I don't. I was
like, what are you talking about?
I don't know. Yes. So.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's part of it's just consistency, like getting to know your teammates. Not that they don't know each other, like you're saying, but I think the Balogun Pulisic thing is pretty good. I think they would both be in pretty much everyone's A-team roster. I honestly think I've seen him 4 or 5 times total ever on the field together.
The last time that I can, and I will also admit this, I'm very bad with like national team dates and competitions and timelines. So
yeah, I couldn't remember what the Copa America was like 10 minutes ago.
The Copa America feels like the last time that I saw Christian Pulisic and Florian Balogun truly playing together.
That was the last time. There's no way they've played since then.
They might have in like a friendly, and I just don't know. But
I don't know. Maybe
that was last summer. Like
before that, when was it? World Cup?
Maybe, I don't fucking know. Like, we are recording this on June 11th.
I guess it's like the fact that we can't even remember. Like, if you were like, when is the last time Dempsey and Donovan played together? You'd be like, oh, last game.
Yeah, literally. Like you know.
Oh, with Michael Bradley, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and Josie was up top, and Jermaine Jones was sitting behind.
Yeah.
Fucking Matt Beasler was at
Tim Howard in goal, yeah.
Omar Gonzalez, yeah.
Yeah, we can just recite the whole 11.
That's my team right there. But yeah, no. Look, we're recording this on June 11th, 2025. The World Cup starts June 11th, 2026.
Oh wow! Did you plan that?
No, I just saw that this morning when I.
Wow, how'd that work out? That's cool.
So I don't know how I feel.
Would we qualify
for
this World Cup
without
the guarantee? I don't know.
Oh, bro, look. You want to extend this podcast another hour? That is a fair conversation. At this point, I don't know if we would get through CONCACAF World Cup qualifying
I mean, that would include Mexico, Canada, Jamaica, like
Costa Rica,
Panama.
Yeah, and we've gotten our asses kicked by Panama and Canada and Mexico. We would be finishing 4th or 5th in World Cup qualifying, which would still have us make it, but still, it's not great. It's not great. I don't know. The only other news and negative news that I wanted to bring up on this podcast was all CONCACAF member nations.
It's a brutal pod.
They've rejected Greenland's bid to join.
That was sad, man. I kind of wanted Greenland.
Look.
Why are they rejecting Greenland? There's literally no downside. Oh, there's probably some downside. I don't know.
Maybe travel. Probably travel is a big piece of it. But to me, right, like CONCACAF is not the strongest federation globally. I think whatever you can do to add more talent, more nations, or even add better the nations that are in CONCACAF, you should do. And it doesn't really feel like CONCACAF does that outside of Mexico. And
I think there's a lot. These big organizations are kind of out for themselves a little bit.
So fuck CONCACAF.
We are rolling today.
We are not going to talk about any of the Matchday 18 games. There was only, 5 games. So, look, Vancouver won. We talked about that. LAFC won after their Club America, their Club America win. Shout out them. Portland Timbers won with a stoppage time winner. Austin picked up a road win versus Colorado, and Chicago fucking put a touchdown on DC United. So, the only piece that I really wanted to say is I'm a little upset with DC United. Like, outside of still being alive in the Open Cup, I don't know how this team isn't arguably the worst team in the league and how Troy Lesesne still has a job. It's above Troy Lesesne, but the head coach always gets the blame, but still.
I mean, this team has been in like a cycle of kind of decent, bad, horrible.
They haven't been good.
Maybe okay, bad. I mean, they've had like good, okay-ish years.
When Wayne Rooney was up top, that was a while ago now, bud. That was way too long ago.
How long ago was that?
2018.
Oh my God! No, I don't want to talk about it.
That's my best guess also. All right, Jason. So we have.
There's too many games of the week. Just there's some depressing ones too.
Give me your MLS game of the weekend, and I'm extending weekend because for some random reason New York City plays Atlanta on Thursday. But
it's not that one. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
I think I'm gonna go Philly versus Charlotte.
Okay, I like it. I was going to say Chicago-Nashville. That's a good game.
That is a good game, actually. That is a good game.
Minnesota-San Diego. It's fun.
There's some good games this week. Colorado versus Orlando is not going to be like a bad game.
Columbus-Vancouver.
Okay, wait a second.
We're getting excited.
That
The only reason I would also throw in St. Louis Galaxy is because it could be such a fucking mess that the Galaxy won a game since the last time.
Oh my gosh, I know. I said I'm not talking about them until they win a game, and they won immediately.
There we go. They needed your motivation.
I know, dude. The fact that, oh man, that's so funny.
Imagine the Galaxy win back-to-back games after this weekend. That'd be crazy.
They could. They really could.
Give me your other game of the weekend to pick.
So we got 4 options.
And Club World Cup.
Do you want a list of 4 options, or do you want?
I got you. So it's Al Ahly versus Inter Miami on Saturday. It is USMNT versus Trinidad and Tobago on Sunday. Botafogo versus Seattle Sounders on Sunday, or it's not a weekend game, but Chelsea versus LAFC on Monday. Give me your.
Yeah. Game. So I am going to rule out the men's national team game because of how depressed they make me.
Because that's the worst one of the 4.
I'm gonna rule out Al Ahly versus Inter Miami. I don't know why. I'm just not that interested.
Al Ahly, really good club though. They actually might be Al Ahly might be the watch of those 2 teams. I'm just saying.
I'm debating on who I think has a better, a more interesting game. I kind of want to say Chelsea versus LAFC just because of the bigness isn't a word, but the gravity of it. That just seems like a really we're gonna see Chelsea versus LAFC. I want to see it. Okay, so it's that one.
I think that is the fair answer because I agree with you. It's very much just this is just fucking cool. We're gonna see an MLS team go up against Chelsea, right? Whatever your opinion or your EPL favorite team is, it is just cool to say Chelsea is gonna be playing LAFC. Olivier Giroud and Hugo Lloris are gonna go play a former rival of theirs, and everything in between, right? There's just the cool big story headlines, and then on top of it, it's I want to see Marky Delgado.
I think they might have a chance, man. Call me crazy.
If we're talking next podcast and LAFC got a result against Chelsea, Yes, I will give you all the praise. I'll go on a 10-minute rant about how you were right, but I don't think so, man. I don't.
The only other game is the Botafogo versus Seattle, which I do think is going to be a good game and worth watching. Let's put it this way: if it's at the same, I don't think it's at the same time, but if it was as the U.S. game, I'm picking the Seattle game. I'm telling you that right
No.
now.
And I think the other just fun piece that I just want to quickly mention is, whether we're talking Botafogo, whether we're talking Palmeiras, whether we're talking, a plenty of other clubs in this Club World Cup, there's a lot of former MLS stars sprinkled in. Botafogo is one of them where you're going to see some familiar names, the Santi Rodriguez running around, the Jefferson Savarino. They also have one more former MLS player, if I'm trying to remember.
Who gets a result this weekend? Out of Inter Miami, Seattle, LAFC, and the U.S. men's national team.
I'm still going to go USMNT, but I'm not super confident in it.
What if I take out the U.S. men's national team because that was more of a joke? If they don't get a result and one of these other teams do, that we're going to have a different 10-minute rant.
So we're just going who gets a result. I think best case scenario is the Sounders get a result against Botafogo.
I would probably agree.
Yeah, Botafogo, good Brazilian club. I think they're not that great right now, presently.
Just wait, LAFC 2-0 win.
Denny Belonga hat trick against Chelsea. Let's go.
Then he's gonna be gone immediately from LAFC. Just don't even get back on the bus, man.
Get on the Chelsea plane. You're gonna be going. You're going to the.
You are now $100 million player,
and you're gonna get loaned out to Toulouse Strasbourg, whatever their friend.
Somewhere.
That's Man City. I don't fucking know. No, that's Chelsea. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Fuck it. Here we are, an hour and 15 in, Jason. This has been fun to catch back up. And
it's been fun, yeah.
It was I like to think we brought a little positivity around a pretty.
I think we did.
Depressing.
I think at the end of the day, I'm still gonna root for this team. I still like them, but.
Which team were we talking about?
Oh man. Yep, I don't need to spend.
Yep. I think Greenland might be my team, but that's all I gotta say. All right. Thank you guys.
All right.
Thank you for watching, listening. Please subscribe, rate, all that fun stuff. And we will talk to you guys next week when LAFC shut out Chelsea. So see you later. Bye.